Do we give few? Can you wait for a few more minutes until if you see anybody else will join us, or how do we do that?
It's 6:31 p.m. now. We just make a couple of opening remarks. I want to make sure that we start at end of time, and you know how it is. People will make sure that there is enough time for Q&A. I anticipate you probably will speak for what, about 15 minutes, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Or thereabout, and then allow the rest of the time for enough, make sure I have enough time for Q&A. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. We can, we have 16 people on the now showing. Welcome everyone. My name is Ernest Owazia, the chair of the board of Africa House Sacramento and Afri-Peace and Development Foundation, co-sponsoring this event with our partner, the Sacramento Association of Nigerians, in honor of the Black History Month. Acknowledge the City of Sacramento's Fuel Grant organization of mostly immigrants serving entities in the community to educate, especially immigrants, in this case, our Black African Caribbean immigrants, on their rights. And this evening, we are blessed. I'm very pleased to have Attorney Patrick Guyana, who is a reputable, established immigration attorney in Sacramento and a fellow African, joining us as our guest speaker. You are very much welcome. I am hoping that whatever information we receive this evening, you will be able to spread the word. Those that are not here definitely can benefit from the information. I am also reminded of the moment that we are in. And I have said this, and really it's not really a joke. I think almost everyone now who doesn't look like I'm from Sweden may be susceptible to being stopped by law enforcement. And one thing can lead to the other about their immigration status. And sometimes before it may be sorted out, could be quite an inconvenience and may take quite some time and resource to do that. So be apprised of your rights. And Attorney Guyana may talk about the red card this evening that I really would encourage everyone to make sure you have. If you don't have it, we can point you to where you can get the red card and make sure we get it out into the community. So with that, again, very much welcome to this session, Know Your Rights, looking at current contemporary issues in U.S. immigration policies and practices. And I invite the president of the Sacramento Association of Nigerians, G of us, for a brief welcome. And then we'll have our attorney guest speaker come on shortly. Madam San President.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you so much. And I also want to welcome everybody that's here. This couldn't have been at a better time. Thank you so much, Attorney Patrick, for agreeing to do this. It's at a time that most of us Africans are in the unknown. We don't know so many things. So knowledge is power. As much as it might not affect all of us, most of our brothers are also in a situation where they're not sure of what's happening. We're not really sure of what's going to happen to them or what's going to happen to us, or our brothers that are here. So I think as Sacramento Association of Nigerians is happy to be part of this with Africa House, and also to give the knowledge of to know what to do in situations if you get stopped on the road, or just to learn. And as always, we'll always be here for our people to support in any way we can. And thank you, Africa House, for agreeing to do this with us as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I also want to recognize our board member, Ms. Okon, here, And I'm sure, but I'd like to acknowledge the collaboration back and forth with the SAN Vice President, Geraldine Mba, who is also joining us, and other officers of SAN and Africa House Sacramento present. Please, you're welcome. Admin Ojingwa, who helped start the flyer, and our admin assistant, Makaya Palmer, who helped to get it finalized and get it out. So each and every one of you who helped to get the word out, we thank you and you're all welcome. I think the next program is on Saturday, March 1st, 3 to 4. SAN will be hosting that with Africa House Sacramento, and we'll be talking about taxes and things related to taxes. This is it, we're coming in. Attorney Patrick Guyana, we are very much appreciated for joining us this evening. You've continued to be a true partner in getting the word out. Attorney Patrick Guyana, I would acknowledge the many people we have sent his way to consult on different immigration related issues. And we truly appreciate your responsiveness. And I know this is a very busy season for you and many other immigration attorneys, but you've taken the time to this evening. So thank you very, very much. Without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our guest speaker, Attorney Patrick Guyana, to this session. Thank you.
Please, can you, if you're not speaking, so that we can hear him? Thank you.
Yes, please. And you feel free to use the chat. If you have questions, please use the chat to share them. And we'll get to them when we get to the Q&A. Thank you. Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Patrick Guyana, and I'm an immigration attorney, and I've been practicing immigration law for the last 10 years. And my law office is located in Sacramento, California, and I always my practice is really specifically concentrated in immigration law, and I help people with their family-based petition, and I defend people in immigration court, and I help people file some what we call humanitarian applications. I always tell people that as long as I've been practicing in Sacramento, most of my clients are Central American, and I don't have as many African clients. So hopefully one day I'll have a practice full of my people, so I can be more helpful to people in my community. All right, so as we all know, here we are again. Trump has been elected, and we have to fight an administration that has put immigration at the forefront of their campaign, and they are actively trying to deport as many people as possible. We have been through it before, and we now have a different administration, Trump 2.0. At this point, I believe they're more prepared. They know what they're doing, and unfortunately, our hold on a second.
Sorry, I can mute your phone, please.
Thanks, Victoria.
Very
I
rude.
believe.
Oh,
Can we just mute everyone? Is it possible? Yeah, can we
yes.
just mute
If they
everyone?
can do it, that would be great.
Thank you. So, yeah, this administration is has put immigration at the forefront of their campaign and their fight, and their in the 100 days. I believe they want to send a clear message to everybody that they don't want immigrants, and mostly immigrant of a certain color. As we see, I think Trump has been trying to bring some African immigrants, but unfortunately, or in some regard, they're all Afrikaners from South Africa. So there's a clear message there. And I always tell people in my community, please, it's very important to know your right. It's very important to deal with an immigration attorney. And I'm not saying this just because I'm an immigration attorney, and sometimes I tell people, you don't have to hire me. Please find somebody else. Knowledge is power. Please have a professional help you. I always give an example of if you have a disease, you don't go to the, maybe people do, but you don't go to your cousin or your aunt or somebody to try to solve your medical condition. If it's critical, you go to see a doctor. So I hope that analogy will help people understand that immigration and lawyers, yes, they make a living, but most of the time they're here to help solve a situation or respond to your question. Okay. So there have been a lot of I don't know where most people in this presentation where they're from, but I will assume they are based in California. And if you're based in California, you are at least luckier than most people, because at least unlike other state, in California we have some laws that protect people from I will not say from deportation, but that prevent we are in what we call a sanctuary state. Basically, that means that the state of California does not actively share their information with the Immigration Custom and Enforcement. That's what we call ICE. So if you are, for instance, arrested in Sacramento County for a DUI or something like that, in the past, they used to just provide this information to ICE, and they would ICE will be waiting for you after you have been released from jail. But right now, due to the protection that we have in California, those information cannot be shared with ICE. Is this true everywhere in California? I would say no, but because of course there are some sheriff in some city and who are, as we know, racist to the core, and they don't care, and they are disobeying the California law, so they will do what they want to do. All right. But in any case, we have in addition to the state protection, we have the constitutional protections. We have the Fourth Amendment and the Fifth Amendment right. With the Fourth Amendment, basically says that if you're in a space that is not open to the public, then ICE cannot enter without your consent if you don't have a warrant. Okay. And then with the Fifth Amendment, this basically means that you have the right to remain silent. So they cannot force you to share information if you don't want to. All right. How does that apply in real life? If, for instance, ICE is actively trying to deport you, let's say they come to your house, all I have to say is use your right. So first of all, stay calm. Don't open the door unless they have a valid warrant. And you can ask any officer to show you a valid warrant. A valid warrant is the one that is signed by a judge or a magistrate, right? Sometimes ICE will show you another document it's usually called a warrant for arrest of an alien. That one is not a real warrant. It's just an internal document. It's an it's an administrative document that ICE use internally to go arrest somebody that they're actively trying to deport. That paper has no value or doesn't have any weight in terms of applying the Fourth Amendment right. So if you see that document that it says U.S. Department of Homeland Security warrant for arrest of alien, that one is not a real warrant. So ask them a warrant that is it's signed by the United States District Court that will have your name, it's signed by a judge, and it will identify the person that ICE is looking for. Okay, let's say your name is John, and the warrant is let's say it's identifying somebody called Paul, but that Paul lives in the same house. You don't have to necessarily okay, if Paul lives in the same house, although the warrant is for Paul. If, for instance, you're the owner of the house, you have the right also to say, you know what, John is not here. You cannot enter my house. All right. So there are a lot of rules around that, and just make sure that you remain silent. That's another something else. You don't need to share your any information and they cannot punish you for not sharing any information. All right. At work, I want you to understand that if ICE comes to your work, ICE can freely enter any public area. If there's a workplace that is not open to the public, ask for a warrant the same way as you will ask for a warrant as at your house. Okay. Again, you have the right to remain silent, and they can ask you any question they want. And if you don't want to respond, please keep quiet. Right? And if you're on the street and ICE arrest you, ask if you're being detained. Okay? If you are, follow the instruction. Right? If they say you're not detained, then ask if you can leave. Do not give yourself away, meaning do not share any information. Tell them where you're from. Do not tell them how you entered the US. Do not lie either, or give them false document. And mostly, do not run. Remember, you have the right to remain silent. Okay? Same thing if you are driving, you have to remain calm. Don't start sharing information. If they ask you for your driver's license, registration, or proof of insurance, please provide those information. And if they ask you if they can search your vehicle, tell them you do not do not consent to a search. Now, they can still do that and break the law. If they do it, then you have a better chance to fight that in court. You have a better chance to fight that in court. Okay. If you are detained by ICE, remain silent and insist on requesting a representation, meaning ask for an attorney. Refuse to sign all papers and ask to see a local judge. Ask them if you can be put in immigration proceedings. And I think Mr. Stephen, can you please mute your microphone?
Anthony send concern. Okay, they can send the kinis.
Mr. Stephen, please, can you mute your phone? Thank you.
They're still not getting it. Mute your phone, please, so that I can hear. Thank you.
Thank you. So, if you're detained, just make sure that you ask them to see an immigration judge. And now, what is very important to know is, as I said, Trump has, since he came since January, not many people are being released on bond, which is a very big change since from before. So the chance of being released on bond are very slim. So what you can do is ask if you can request a bond through the immigration judge. Okay. So it's still something that is in development right now. I don't know how things will go, but I still have clients right now who is also hasn't been released, even though he spent now more than 80 days in detention. And we just don't know what we can do, what else we can do to be released, since ICE is not giving him any bond amounts to be released. Okay. And something else I wanted you all to understand is anybody who knows that they are not they don't have any legal status, you have to be prepared. Okay. That's why we do this presentation. It's not to scare you off, but to make sure that you're all prepared and understand what is at stake here. Okay. So you need to talk to your family, your children, and talk to them, have this conversation, have a plan. Okay. See an attorney and who can advise you and who can tell you what is possible. Don't just listen to what your neighbor and your cousin or your aunt or uncle told you how they did fill out a paper and then it just went through. Every case is different. Okay. And save money because attorneys can be expensive. Bail, if you're allowed to be released on bond, bail money is expensive. So all of these are things to be prepared for. Okay. And something else I didn't share before is, I think Professor talked about the red card. The red card is usually a card that has been circulating. It was done by an organization called ILRC. They share this card that will just, like, in case you come in contact with ICE, you just present it to them. It just basically shows that you will not you choose to remain silent, and that you do not give them permission to enter your house or even your office or whatever. So that card is very actually it has been very it's working. It's been very efficient, and we're starting to see more people using that card. So I think I have a place. I will try to put the the link to in the
I
work
just
chat.
did. I just put it in the
You
chat.
just put in a link. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And
Yeah,
Africa House does have a bunch of them. So
okay. And yeah, so that is very good. And you have to know that what is if there is a raid, for instance, there are many local organizations here in Sacramento that are actively trying to spread the news and organizing what we call a rapid response. And there is actually a rapid response hotline when if there is a an ICE raid, everybody you can call that line and inform people. That way they can know what to do. The idea behind it is that if you call that line, for instance, if there is a raid at Walmart, you see that happening, please call the hotline. There are attorneys who are ready to jump on action. There are organization people are willing to come and help you with bond and what to do. So I mean, we are here in this community to fight, and the only way we can do that is if everybody else participate. So this is a phone number for the rapid response hotline, and that's and if you want, you can also look at the organization called NorCal Resist. They do a lot of events, and they help many people file their asylum applications and the asylum applications and help people organize and do what it takes to help them fight the deportation. And if somebody is detained, there is also a link on where to go find that person. Here's the link for what we call an ICE locator service. I'll just put it in the chat group. And that will help identify where people are sent, what detention are they're being held. Okay. Somebody say, what's the meaning of bond? Bond is basically the I know we're not in the Q&A, but the bond is basically if it's a money you put in an amount of money you give in to the government to keep it, to make sure that you will attend all your court hearings and you will be and you will present yourself when it's time for you to be deported. If you don't, then you will be that money will be lost. Okay. Okay. So what are the immigration options for people? So as I said before, please see an attorney and ask them what are the various options that you have available for you. And if you don't have any legal status, unfortunately, in still right now in Africa, there are still many people who are eligible for various benefits like asylum and as I will go in detail with that. Asylum, you can qualify for maybe a EU visa as well, or what we call VAWA. So asylum is basically a protection. You're seeking protection in the United States from being returned to your home country. And to qualify for asylum, you need to tell the government of the United States that you fear returning to your home country because you have been persecuted in the past or fear being persecuted in the future. Okay. And what's something you need to know is there is a deadline to file for an asylum application. It's usually 1 year since the time you last entered the United States. Okay. And asylum will, if you qualify for asylum, you will have the benefits of living here in the United States for at least a year until you can apply for a green card and eventually qualify to be a US citizen. And the reason for asylum are you need to show that you have been persecuted or fear being persecuted for specific reasons. The reasons are for political reasons. Let's say you in your home country you are a political activist, and you're afraid that the government will hurt you, then you have a chance of being granted asylum based on a political opinion. You have there is another
Oh, today is your birthday.
section.
Sorry
Is,
about that. Oh, you don't remind me.
Can we
excuse me,
mute, please? Can we mute our phones?
Sorry, today is your birthday. My birthday week. So happy birthday.
Please, can you mute your phone, please? Oluwafemi, please, can you mute your phone?
Thank you. Yeah, so there is so for asylum, so as mentioned, for political opinion, for religious belief. In some country, there are some religions that have been persecuted by the government or by the people in the community. If you can seek asylum because of your race, or you can seek asylum because of your nationality, and or if you belong to any minority group. A minority group usually it's a very specific determination that it's a legal definition, but to qualify under that category, you need to be member of a minority group that is being persecuted in your home country. I often give an example of people who are member of the LGBTQ community. I also give an example of members of indigenous group. Some in some countries, some minority group, some indigenous group are being persecuted. I also give an example of women who are victim of domestic violence. They can qualify under that category. And who else? So yeah, so that category is kind of complicated, but I just give you an example of few minority groups that I know that work. And some women who have been victim of FGM, so genital mutilation. So that is also a protected group. So asylum is a very powerful protection. So please make sure that, but it's also not easy. People think you just have to fill out a form online and then fill it out, and then yeah, you can make up a story and then win asylum. It's not. So most of the time, if you get put in, if you go through court, you will be, you will have to testify. You have an adversarial system in front of you, meaning you have an attorney from ICE that is actively trying to discredit your story, and that is actively trying to deny your application. And that part, if you're in court, you have to let the judge make that determination. And quite frankly, nowadays, many judges are just have become skeptical of the asylum process from certain countries. So it can be complicated. Okay. So another possibility I always say is U visa. U visa is a very powerful protection. It's for people who have been victim of a violent crime, such as domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, trafficking, and other serious crime. okay, here in the United States. So if you know, or if you're undocumented and you have, for instance, witnessed or you have been a victim of a violent crime, please call the police, because to qualify under that category, you need to have been helpful to the police. So you need to show the police that you are willing to cooperate with them, so that if they call you to testify, let's say in court, you are available for that, right? It's if you are in a victim of domestic violence, and you call the police, and later on you guys make a kiss and make up, and then later on the police call you to press charges or something, and you say, no, you know what, I'm not even interested anymore. Unfortunately, you cannot get a U visa under that category. So being helpful to the police is very important. And most importantly, don't be afraid of the police. This protection, this law is really meant to help people solving crime. So they cannot then in turn come and put you and deport you just because you call the police. If anything, they should be able to help you. Okay. And the good thing about the U visa is you will be able to qualify. You will get a U visa status, and then eventually get your apply for a green card, and in the future get your citizenship. Close to the U visa, there is always the Violence Against Women Act, and that is specific for people who have been a victim of violence from their husband, their parent, or their children. Okay. However, there's something important to know, is the person who is committing the violence has to be a U.S. citizen. That's the difference between a visa and Violence Against Women Act, and VAWA in short. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, let's say the person brought you here under the marriage visa, and they start to mistreat you. They're starting to keep your they're starting to keep your documents.
Upper 70s in the South Bay. Sunshine on Thursday with just a chance of rain and a high of 65. Traffic and weather together on the 8s on All News 106.9 and AM 740.
Okay, Mr. Gideon, I believe is
Did
okay. Yeah, so sorry. Yeah, so an example of that is people who have been brought here under marriage visa, and they come in the United States, and then the spouse start to become abusive financially or physically, emotionally. They can qualify for VAWA. So and for that, I'm always advising people to see an immigration attorney who can help you put together the packet. Okay, again, immigration applications. If you look at the application, they look easy, but how you collect evidence, what goes into the packet that you submit can be more important than just filling out a form, which is why I always advise people to consult with an immigration attorney. Okay, I will just paste something here. I just post a link for people who are eligible for VAWA. Let me see if there is something for your visa. And okay, other than these protections, there are countries that are currently under what we call a temporary protected status. This is when the government of the United States decide that due to a condition or circumstances in a specific country, it is not safe for citizens of that country to return home. So, but your country need to be designated. There's need to be a designation by the United States government that they're citizens of that country qualify for TPS. So currently, right now, if I'm not wrong, there are countries in Africa like Sudan, South Sudan, Somalia, where else? Ethiopia, Cameroon. So these are countries in Africa that have been designated to qualify under the temporary protected status. However, we also know that the current administration has been stopping the TPS status. We know this stopped for people from Nicaragua, from Haiti. I don't know who is next on the chopping block, so I need to keep up with that. I don't know any countries in Africa have been they're going to stop TPS for those countries. So we shall see how things develop in the near future. And most people here come maybe under the if they enter with a valid visa and they overstay their visa, I think most people know that they can qualify if under a marriage, if somebody filed for some family petitions. The most common way is probably marriage. And as an attorney, I will always advise to make sure that if you file for this application, to make sure that it's a valid marriage and not not an application has not been entered just to, and marriage has not been entered just for immigration purpose. Okay, because this is the sometimes they have interviews and you have to go to the interview, and if they found that you have lied, so you risk of having an application denied and you have a fraudulent application. That doesn't look good on your immigration history. If in the future you have a better benefit, you may have to need to resolve that fraud before you file anything else. Your parent, you can bring in your parent, of course, and then what else? You can bring you can get petition for your children under 18, and those are family petitions that you can find online, and we're not gonna talk about that because then we spend so much time in this type of petitions. All right. So let me see one more something else. Yeah, I think for today, this was a brief presentation, but I can now go over the questions and I can see if I can respond to all of them. Okay.
Okay, that's great. You want me to read them or you want to take them? The first question is, as a dual citizen, what are the laws concerning using your country at birth passport to travel to your home and coming back with both passports, USA and Nigerian, for example? This has generated quite some buzz in social media, especially WhatsApp groups recently.
Yeah. I have so far right now, I know many people when they leave the United States, they use their local their passport from their country, for lack of a better term, because they don't have to pay for visas, and that's probably very easy for them. And then when they come back, they use the US passport. Honestly, I don't quote me on this. I have not yet seen anybody having a problem with that, but you know, I can't make any comment on that right now. Again, everything is changing very fast right now. So if I give you an answer today, tomorrow things change. So you just have to be careful. But so far right now, I have not seen anybody being in trouble for that.
Okay. And if anybody on this platform has any first-hand experience, you or somebody you directly know that has that experience that is different from what Attorney Guyana is saying, you can share that on the platform, and then we can follow up accordingly. Thank you. Okay, well, let's go to the next one. You've answered the question about bond. Thanks, Geraldine, for the correction, the spelling. What are the current laws on asylum with the new administration? Are there changes?
I mean, the asylum law is pretty, it's pretty set law as far as the qualification for asylum and all of that. However, right now, of course, the government is trying to change very few things, right? There are laws right now that if you did not enter the United States through the border and you entered without inspection, you may not qualify for asylum. But you know, that one is being there are some what do we call it, exception, but those are the things that is being litigated right now in higher court. Okay, and what other changes are in asylum law on top of my head? But the qualification have not changed. I see somebody says that the LGBT has changed. Justification may not work during this regime since it only recognizes male and female gender. That's not true, because you have to it's not based on how the law of the United States is, how you're being persecuted in your home country. Now, I'm not saying things will not change, okay? The asylum law, like everything else, as you know, in the United States, there is a precedent. If a higher court decide that a certain category of people will not qualify for asylum, then things will change then. But so far right now, I'm not aware of any precedent that has stopped any particular group, minority group, from getting asylum based on since the new administration. Now, during the previous administration, during the Trump first term, he had made it very difficult for women who have been victims of domestic violence to qualify for asylum. However, if that's why you need to always find an attorney, we were able to fight this through, and it became an issue decided on a case-by-case basis by immigration judges. If you have a good judge, he will grant you that. If not, then you will be denied asylum. But also, most of those cases went on appeal, and on appeal, we were lucky enough to have Biden come and then overturn all those prior decisions that were denying asylum based on women on domestic violence. So, yeah.
I guess you might want to address current gender redefinition under this administration, if
All right.
applicable.
Yes, so far what I know is that yeah, the gender markers, and I don't have the proper terms for it, but what I know is people who who have changed their gender right now. The current administration only recognize two genders, and people who for instance, where who applied for the passport with a different gender that was assigned at birth, they have seen their their gender reverse back to what they have at the birth certificate. So that is something yeah, that's something we know. But as far as the claim for asylum, for that part, that has not changed much, to my knowledge.
Can you give us the evidence for a CASA and a U visa?
Sorry, which question is that?
Can you give us the evidence for, I think the person maybe mean VAWA and the U visa?
Can you give us evidence? I don't understand the question very well. How evidence? An
iPhone
example?
3, can you clarify what you mean by evidence? I think you were saying something during your presentation to be able to provide evidence for the violence, even though the form may be simple to fill, but the supporting documents, including the evidence, what kinds of evidence would you be looking for? I guess that's what that is, between UVs and VAWA. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's different. Like for U visa, for instance, you need to have a police report. Okay. You need to file a police report. Even after the police report, you need to have a police officer or the district attorney certify that you have been a victim of a crime and you have been helpful to them. Okay. And that you have suffered one important point is you have suffered some medical conditions as a result of that violence. Okay. So so if the police report is very important, that you have been helpful will be proof if you have the certification from the police or the district attorney. Evidence of medical that you suffered, provide a medical record. If you have to go through have a treatment or provide pictures, if there was a witness, please provide them. If what else? And yeah, you can have witness write a statement on your behalf. You have to also write a statement, talk about the violence you experience, and you have to tell your story and tell the officer what happened and the packet. If, for instance, there's a restraining order, that's something you can add to it. What else? Of course, they will ask the basic biographical information, birth certificate, passport, and stuff like that. So for VAWA, in addition to what we just said, you need to show that there's a relationship between your abuser. Your abuser is a U.S. citizen, okay? Your spouse, your parent, your children who your child who abused you is a U.S. citizen. Then that means birth certificate, passport, or something like that. So again, VAWA and U visa are similar. VAWA is for people who have been, if the abuser is a U.S. citizen and there's a familial relationship, and U visa, it could be anybody. You walk on the street and somebody jump you held at gunpoint, and you suffer emotionally. Doesn't have to be physical. You suffer emotionally. You develop some sort of anxiety. You become stressed out. You can no longer go in public. You have to go to maybe see a mental health professional, get evaluated, and then that will be an additional evidence. Very important evidence. Same thing with VAWA. Mental health professional, very important evidence to add to the packet.
Ms. Okon, you have your hand up, and then we'll come back to the questions in the chat. Go ahead, Ms. Okon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Wazir. Yeah, I think I wanted to hear, maybe he can revisit it again. Actually, what is going on if you have dual citizenship and you travel with one passport and want to come in with the other one? You know, because there's so many conflicting information and people might be confused. So I wanted to hear what is the take on that. Say, for instance, you have dual citizenship, then you travel out of the U.S. with your U.S. passport, then you want to Nigeria, and then you want to come in, and then you come in, you leave Nigeria with your Nigerian passport, and then when you get to U.S., you bring up your U.S. passport. How's that working for people who do that?
All right. Yeah, so something you know is usually at the border when you leave the United States, there's no stamp here in the United States that there's no stamp in the United States that you need to show to keep the record in the United States. Usually, the United States get your record from the airlines. Okay, so that's one thing. So once you get in Nigeria, the Nigerian government, all they need is to show that you have a valid travel document to enter the country. So that could be the US passport or the Nigerian passport. So however you choose, you have to use that, right? Now, going back to the United States, same thing. The US government and the US Border Patrol, mostly what they care about is if you have the right to enter the United States with some legal document, legal travel document, right? So if it's a US passport, you show your US passport and you will go through. Rarely, I honestly have not seen anybody who has been in trouble because they were being asked that show us a stamp of what passport you use when you left the United States. I have not seen that. So all you have to do is show that you have a valid US passport and you will go through.
Thank you. Elvis, raise your hand, please. Go ahead, your question.
Oh, my question is just to piggyback on what Ms. Okon just asked. I just returned from Nigeria and I had my US passport. They didn't ask me for my Nigerian passport. And I had no problem getting in. Like you just said, Anthony, like you just confirmed, that's what I experienced. But could you explain what it is for countries that don't allow dual citizenship other than Nigeria? That's actually my question.
But that will be an issue in those countries. Not to come back in the United States, again, you just have to show them that you have a valid US passport. That's it. Whether you have a passport from any other country, they really don't care. All they care about is if you are allowed to enter the United States with a US passport.
I think there's a question that said, what if they have a green card and not a passport?
Now, people who have green card, that's something else. People who have green card, first of all, you need to make sure that that is something I want to warn people. If you have a green card right now, if you have to travel, just make sure that you don't have any criminal records. Okay, that's something I've been seeing a lot since the beginning of the year. people with a green card who have criminal record, it doesn't matter how long it has been. You have people are being processed what we call a secondary inspection, meaning they are re-looking at those records, and they are actually they may ask you to release those the green card. So just be careful, pay attention, be careful. But if you have a criminal record, see an attorney before. And I mean, you can travel with your green card. There's no problem like before. But if you have a criminal record, I will not travel with that right now. And or people who have been one thing that I know is people who have been traveling, who have a green card but stay out of the country for more than 6 months. That is something also to be careful about, because again, they are really looking at those dates now. So try to stay as much possible in this country than you and then you won't have any problem. Okay.
Okay, I think we'll continue with the Q&A. Even though we've kind of gone beyond the 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, but I think it would be good, Attorney Gianna, if it's okay to try to get to as many of the questions as your time allows. Is that okay?
Yes, maybe 10 minutes, and that should be fine.
Okay, all right.
Do you mind if I just look at the questions here?
Okay, go ahead.
See what I can find most relevant because of somebody say, is there something similar for Violence Against Women Act for husbands? Actually, VIOWA protects also husbands. So there is no gender discrimination in that regard. So if you have been in an abusive relationship and you are a man, please do not hesitate to file an application for VIOWA. I have done many of them, and the biggest hurdle or challenge we face is just to make sure that the man is actually open enough to talk about that and getting more evidence. And if that means they have talked to somebody and the person whereas in our culture, most men are ashamed of that, and it becomes very difficult and to put together a packet. But definitely there's no discrimination in that regard. See.
It's VAWA, V-A-W-A. Do you want to take a look at that question about what if you have been cleared of that criminal record, which relates to the comment you made about traveling with green card if you have criminal record? What if your criminal record has been cleared? I think that's what that question is.
So you have to understand, it depends on what criminal record you have, okay? There are some records, so in immigration law, there are some records that will make you deportable, which basically means that if you have those convictions, the government will start a deportation proceedings against you. Okay. Now, if you have that conviction, see an attorney. I don't understand, so the cleared of that criminal record, usually something else you need to know is if the criminal conviction sometimes, or most of the time, your criminal conviction in criminal court does not, if you have this what we call expungement, it doesn't always relate or transfer in immigration law. You can have a criminal record expunged, but it still will remain a record, and the Department of Homeland Security can and started deportation proceedings against you. Now, if you have something like that, please see an immigration attorney who can look at that record and they can tell you, hey, this record is deportable. I will not travel. If it's something that is not deportable, there are many offenses that are not deportable. Then you should be able to travel with those. Like, not to minimize DUI, but a DUI is not really deportable offense. But again, something that's happened just recently is there's a new law that has passed. This the License Act. I still have to educate myself on that. Many of those records will make life difficult for immigrants. So again, things are changing very fast, and please see an attorney for those type of, if you have something that you are worried about.
How about child support? Is that an issue?
Child support is not an issue. However, it's not a deportable offense, but that will probably you'll be caught up with that in case you're planning to get naturalized. But you need to be clear of that.
Yeah. Is traffic offense deportable?
Most of traffic offenses, no, unless it's some of them are, I don't know, felony, and then you kill somebody, you disregard property, and I mean there are a bunch of things that can be deportable. I don't know them all in my head, but most of the time traffic offenses, I'll be safe. I can be safe with that, but you have to be see an attorney to make that analysis. That analysis is not an easy one, okay? So the delay can rarely act. You're right. So the deportability offenses are not easy. So just because you have them doesn't mean they'll take the green card away from you. That just means that the Department of Homeland Security can start a deportation proceedings against you. Now, it's up to them to prove to the judge that you are deportable. They need to, so the burden is on them. And sometimes, if somebody has a green card, chances are they could qualify for other benefit as well. They can reapply for a green card through what we call a readjustment of status. There are waivers. Waivers are usually applications that you file to just seek like forgiveness for those offenses. There are what we call a cancellation of removal for lawful permanent resident, is a protection for people who have been a permanent resident for 7 years, and if they have family members who are like the spouse and children who will suffer some hardship, then they can apply for that and remain in the United States. So again, just because the government started proceedings against you doesn't mean you should make it easier on them. Okay. Bad credit, no, it's not. But it's not deportable.
From your experience in terms of Africans that may have been deported, what are some of the types of cases or offenses will result to that being deported? If you can.
That's a tricky question. But I mean, that's a difference. So that means, are we talking about, it depends. Are we talking about people who have green card or just people being deported? Because overall, people who have been deported, sometimes it's just because they get caught with they get caught because they have a criminal record, and then in some regard, ICE is aware of that, and then they put them in proceeding, and they don't have a good defense or they're not eligible for anything, right? Or people who have been in the United States overstayed a visa, never bothered to change their status, never applied for anything, they just stay here. They don't have any defense, right? So then there's nothing, if it doesn't matter if you have a good attorney, if you do not qualify for any immigration benefits, there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, so there is that, and most people get caught in some sorry to say this, some stupid stupid thing, and then they don't have no way to fight the deportation. And other thing is, again, I say,
Yeah.
people get cheap, they don't want to hire an attorney, and they think they can do it on their own. That, in my opinion, is more dangerous than anything else.
Okay.
Prof, I think we missed the question. He just addressed a little bit of it. I think it's saying if I entered the U.S. with a visa and was granted voluntary departure in 2005, but did not leave, if an I-30 filed by my child is approved, how can I get a green card?
If this person can contact me, I put my contact information. I give you a free consultation for this question, and then we can discuss this. I'd rather do that than having this in a public forum.
Okay, I think so.
What of parenting without violence? Can this affect green card?
What of parenting without violence can this affect? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I know.
Could that mean violence involving child? Is that what that could mean? Oluwafemi, can you?
Yeah, the case is that if a daughter calls on the stepfather and that thing has been resolved later.
You know, there is a police report.
And that
you got cut off.
It's like parenting without violence. Now acts from the subject from violent classes, and after that it affects going out and coming in.
Patrick, did you get all of that?
No.
You're breaking up. Can you use the chat and clarify that? That may be helpful. We lost most of what you were saying. I think the connection was a little bit bad. If someone gets sexually harassed at workplace, can they use this to file for a work permit and green card or green card?
Sexual harassment as such, just sexual harassment, I don't think so. And no, sexual, just, I mean, I'm not minimizing sexual harassment, but to qualify for something like that, you need to file a police report. And if you're gonna do it under VAWA or under U visa, you need to file a police report. You need to have been you need to have suffered some sort of physical and mental condition as a result of the harassment. Usually it's also has to be some sort of, violence. Sexual harassment doesn't really fall into that category. There are maybe, doesn't really fall into that category. And then I don't think so. Also, you have to be careful. Something I want to warn people: don't file an application just because somebody told you to file an application. Because the problem with that now is the administration has changed. So some of this, if you find an application and you don't qualify for that application, they might start, and they will realize that if you don't have a legal status in the United States, you should not be in the US. So you can then be put in immigration proceedings. So then there's no point for you to do that. However, there is something else I have not shared is people who have been in the United States for more than 10 years. People and who have a spouse or children who will suffer some what we call an unusual, an exceptional and unusual hardship may qualify for what we call cancellation of removal. That basically means that let's say you've been in the United States, you have no legal status, and you have a child with a Down syndrome, for instance. You can show that without your presence here, your child will suffer, or your spouse will not be able to raise your children. Then you can qualify for the cancellation of removal for non-legal permanent resident. But relief is only available in immigration court. So you need to have been put in immigration proceedings for you to qualify for that relief. And it's something to keep in mind. So sometimes people come in my office and they say, yeah, I have this and this. I can qualify for cancellation of removal. But the funny part is they are not in immigration proceedings. But how do you put them in immigration proceedings? Sometimes if they have a clean record, you go to ICE and tell them, hey, put them in immigration proceedings, they will not take you. Because somehow they know, hey, you are gonna take a benefit out of it, we're not gonna give you that. So it's just a ridiculous system that we live in.
What can do
All right.
any citizen's kid aged of 16 to her undocumented parents? This has to be maybe like, is that DACA kind of a question?
I think it has to do with if a parent have kids here, but the parent is undocumented, but the kids are citizens, but they're under 16.
What can do a kid age of 16 to her undocumented parent? For that part, I will always say, wait it out until they turn 21. If you enter legally, then they can petition for you. 16-year-olds is a minor, they can't give you any immigration benefit, unfortunately.
Okay, so you have to be 21, not 18.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Can I remarry my ex and file for her after getting my green card, even though we kept having kids when I was married to US citizens? Is that S citizens?
A specific question like this, please contact my office. I don't want to discuss this in open forum.
All right. Thank you. Okay. It looks like we've taken care of all the questions.
I just put my phone number. This is my office number. My assistant will pick up the phone. Just let them know you were provided this number from this presentation, and then I'll give you a free presentation. Thank you to Dr. Waziri and everybody who will help facilitate this presentation. And I think we should conclude. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's been a very informative session. I hope we'll be able to have you back. I know a lot of stuff going on and still developing to some extent that we'll be able to have you again in future. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming, and feel free to follow up with Attorney Guyana as kindly offered, and stay tuned for next programs of Africa House Sacramento and or the Sacramento Association of Nigerians. Please be safe. Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So can we have your office address?
His number is listed on the
And yeah,
chat.
use the
His number
number
is there.
to get the address, huh? I think
Yeah,
I posted
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Very
Prof. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you,
Thank
Attorney
you.
Thank
Patrick.
you.
Antonio.
Thank you, Sound President.
Of
Mr. Geraldine, thank you too. All right, bye-bye.
Just posted by information. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I posted it earlier on as well. Okay. 1600 Sacramento Inway, Suite 128 in Sacramento.
All right, Professor. Bye.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot, Frederick. I appreciate it. Thanks. We'll follow up later.
Prof, please, we'll probably like to know how to get the green, the red card.
The red card. Okay, yes.
Nice to know.
Thank you very much, Prof. We really appreciate this
You
from
do, you do,
Geraldine.
do that. Thank you very much, Madam VP, for your collaboration as well.
Thank you, sir. We really thank you. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Hello, Madam President.
All right.
Thank you.
See you
too.
Saturday.
VP. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Geraldine, and thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Madam.
night.
Thank you, Madam President. All right, Madam.
Good-
All right,
good
bye.
night.
Yeah.
Good
Thank
night.
Good night. Bye. Yeah.
you. Thank you, Sister Wana.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.